When I woke up on the morning of February 8th, 2006, I had no idea that my entire life was about to change. Life, as it had always been, began to unfold into my worst nightmare. On that cold morning, almost 10 years ago, my mom was missing. All I could do was think of where had she gone, what could have happened to her. Her cell phone, purse, and car were left behind, and were all sure signs that something was terribly wrong. My dad had been the one to take me to school that day when usually it was my mom. He told me not to tell anyone that my mom was missing. He said it was personal. Throughout the whole day, all I could do was wonder where my mom was. I knew something was wrong because she would never just leave me. Later that day, a detective showed up at my school to question me. He told me my family in Wyoming had been calling and that they couldn't get a hold of my mom. After school that day, I was sent to a foster home and couldn't have any contact with any of my family. I stayed there overnight, not having a clue about what was going on or about what had already happened. The next morning, the detective and some of my teachers sat me down, and from that moment on, my whole life changed. I was told that my dad had been arrested for brutally murdering my mom. 37 stab wounds and a slit to the throat took my mother's life. We seemed like the average, normal family living a normal life, but what you see on the outside is not always what it appears to be. A lot happens in the privacy of people's homes, behind closed doors. I was 12 at the time, and my life was completely turned upside down, inside out, in every which way but normal. I was faced with some really tough changes that could have led me down a path of total destruction. I basically lost both of my parents on that day, and the days to follow were very scary and confusing. I was living in South Dakota at the time, and within 24 hours, I found myself to live with my grandparents in Wyoming, with literally nothing more than just a suitcase full of clothes. Abuse isn't always physical. My father wasn't. But his obsession and control resulted in difficulties in my parents' marriage. According to the National Domestic Violence Coalition, 75% of women who are killed by their batters are murdered when they attempt to leave or after they have left an abusive relationship. And just a week before, my parents had told me that they were getting a divorce. My father went to trial in January 2007. After countless court dates leading up to that day, I was ready to be done with everything. As I walked into the courthouse, I had no clue what would happen next. My lawyer sat me down and told me that my own dad was blaming me for the murder of my mom. I sat in the courthouse for a couple weeks waiting for my turn to testify. I was ready to testify. I knew all I had to do was tell the truth. When it was finally my turn to go in, as I walked in, all of these different faces were staring at me, and a man in an orange suit. That man was my own father, who was blaming me to save himself. His attorney kept throwing difficult questions at me, and he kept bringing up how involved in sports I was. His attorney kept motioning at how I served volleyball, and I had to keep correcting him. After all the twists and turns with the questions, I stayed strong, and it wasn't hard as all I did was tell the truth. The crowd sat there with blank faces, and the jury never took their eyes off me. I was in there for an hour and a half, and I was the longest one to testify. After I testified, my dad went shortly after me. He knew that he would ultimately be going to prison for life if he didn't straighten up his story. But he still sat up there blaming his own daughter with not a care in his eyes. He told the jury that I was in a catatonic state, and I was very angry at my mom for wanting a divorce. So he covered up what I did and went and dumped her body out of the middle of nowhere. After that, the jury had to make their decision. After a month-long trial, it only took him a couple hours. As we were waiting for the judge to read the verdict, my family and I were all shaking. We had been waiting for this answer for over a year. The judge pulled out the document and he said, "We find Brad to be guilty of first-degree murder." The last time I ever saw my dad was at his sentencing. We showed a video of my mom's life, and he didn't move or make a sound. Never once when he got to say his final words did he apologize. We watched as he walked out of the courthouse with chains around his wrist and ankles, a sound that to this day still brings me chills. Sounded just like keys clanking together. That was the last time I've ever seen him. People always ask me how I'm doing and how I go in living. It is hard, but I do it in honor and memory of my mom. I want my life to be a reflection of the person that she would want me to be. It is my mission that people will continue to spread the word about domestic violence and to raise awareness. Every day is awareness for me and for many victims. Every day I wake up to the realization that my mom is never coming back. And far too many people are faced with the cycle of abuse that is just a continuation of the day before. My mom will forever be my hero, and I miss her terribly, but I can't bring her back. However, what I can do is I can be her voice. I can be my mom's voice, and I will speak out for her and so many others who did not get the chance. Since 2008, I have been actively involved in spreading the word about domestic violence awareness. I'm on the National Youth Advisory Board for Love is Respect, which is the partnership between Break the Cycle and the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's a program dedicated to promoting healthy relationships. I've also traveled the country speaking to several community events and to thousands of high school and middle school students. Still, with a professional career, I'm still passionately involved in spreading the word about domestic violence and community activities. So this is why I'm here. This is what I believe my mother would have wanted. People in abusive situations often don't advocate for themselves. My idea is to help promote the ability to help someone from the outside of an abusive situation. From the outside, you can be the voice to speak out for those who are afraid to do so. Abuse may be happening to friends, family, and people you love without you even knowing it. If you pay attention, the bruise or black eye your friend shows up with may actually be the result of physical abuse. He or she may laugh it off and say, "Oh, this is nothing, I must have ran into something." Victims are ashamed and can be very convincing that nothing is wrong. Every 9 seconds in the US, a woman is assaulted or beaten. You can do something to help. 1 in 3 women will experience being physically abused by an intimate partner in their lifetime. That is why it's so important that you know you can help. People always wonder why victims don't leave. However, it isn't always that easy. The abuser is not a stranger. The abuser is usually someone is there to love you and protect you. And victims also believe that they did do something to deserve the abuse. I now realize how obsessive and controlling my dad was. I was not aware that controlling someone else's every move and emotionally beating them down is abuse. Just because my mom didn't have physical scars that everyone could see, she had emotional scars, ones that never go away. There are warning signs to look for if you or someone you know is being abused. Victims could also suffer from sexual, financial, spiritual abuse, along with stalking. So what can you do to help? As a friend, try to be there for them, because although they may not show it, they need you now more than ever. Some steps you can take to help someone you know in an abusive situation is let them know you are concerned and want to help, reassure them that it's not their fault, and focus on them and not the abuser. And if you're unsure what to do, you can give them resources. The National Domestic Violence Hotline, or they can text or chat with a peer advocate at Love is Respect. To get connected with advocacy services in your area, call the National Domestic Violence Hotline. And don't forget that local law enforcement is always available. The idea that they don't take these things seriously is in the past. When my mom was reported missing, police were investigating and questioning my dad within the hour. As you leave here today, I encourage each of you to take part in spreading the word about domestic violence. Not every situation has to end the way ours did, but I will continue to be my mom's voice because silence will not break the violence.